Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome to Fourth Quarter Health. We are starting week 2 now. So, if you had any questions about week 1, whether over the material that we covered or the assignments that we had, just get a hold of me. You can shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to help walk you through that, whatever you need. Okay, and if it's not there on time, okay, because of we didn't have internet, whatever, don't worry about it. Just communicate with me. Let me know those things. All right, looking at the timeline for the week. Okay, we are adding to our principles of training. All right, so if you remember, we had the 3 that we went over last week. So we had specificity, we had overload, and we had moderation. All right, so we are going from those 3, and we are moving up to 6 on those. All right, so this is the full list. All right, so this is a more expansive version than the 3 that we covered in the general slides. All right, so that was last week. All right, so 3 of these will be the same. All right, we're adding 3 more. All right, so first off, specificity, just to review here. So that says that training must be relevant to the individual and their goals. All right, progressive overload, that you must push the body beyond its normal rhythm in order to see increases in fitness. All right, so that's where your frequency, intensity, time, and type all come in. So that fit application, that's how you progressive overload. Moving on, we have individual needs. So this basically says that one prescription of fitness isn't going to be the same necessarily for each person. So there's going to be things that we have to take in consideration, such as age. Right? You're going to train a younger athlete different than an older one. Right? Looking at gender, males and females, there's going to be some differences, not a ton, but there's a couple things that are going to be different. And then lastly, looking at injury status and fitness level. Right? Obviously, if you're injured, you're going to train differently. Right? Or if you've been someone who's been training for 3 or 4 years and you have a good grasp of things, you're going to train different than someone who is just starting out. Looking at rest and recovery, an often overlooked area of training. Right? So whether it's you're out running or you're lifting weights, whatever it be, right? During that time, you are breaking your body down. You're breaking muscles down. Right? So in terms of growth, so where our body adapts and we gain muscle and we gain fitness levels, right, that happens during the recovery stage. So that happens in between training sessions, right? So that's talking about nutrition, good sleep patterns, and proper amount of rest, right? So if you're just, in the weight room every single day, doing the same exact thing, there's a reason that we don't do bench press every single day, because eventually, our body never gets a chance to recover. There's a reason we mix up lifts when we go day to day. Looking at the principle of reversibility. All right. So basically all that states is that athletes lose the effect of training once they stop training it. Right. So if say you've been working on speed, right, getting faster. All right. If you stop working that for a couple of weeks, you will lose that training. That's the principle of reversibility. And looking at overtraining, that's just a different word for when we talked about moderation, right? Giving yourself a significant chance to rest in between trainings. Right? Overtraining can result in a higher risk of being injured or becoming ill. Right? So we want to avoid that. So now that we've checked out some principles of training and what makes up an individual workout, let's look at some different parts of the training session outside the training itself. So we're going to look at the warm-up and the cool-down. The warm-up has 3 components. All right, first, we're going to look at the pulse-raising activity. All this is something that's going to boost your heart rate. All right, when you boost your heart rate, blood starts flowing to the body more, and you start to deliver more oxygen, right, to the muscles that are going to need it. Stretching and mobility work, number 2. So here we want to focus on mainly dynamic stretching. So that's your high knees, butt kicks, right? Stretching while moving is what dynamic means. Whereas static stretching, so on the ground, toe touches, things like that, that's going to be saved for more of the cool down. So we want to focus on dynamic stretching in the warm-up part in order to, 1, stretch, but also is going to keep our pulse rate up. And lastly, we want it to be a training-specific activity. For example, if I'm going to be doing a squat workout, this part of the warm-up is going to be different than if I was doing a bench press workout. So for the squat workout, I'm going to focus more on my quads, my hamstrings, mainly the muscles of my hips, in order to get those kind of up and fired up for the work that I'm about to do. After the workout, we want to have a cool down. Now, a lot of times the cool down is forgot about. Usually we just finish our workout and we can go about our business. All right, but the cool down is important in the recovery and kind of jump starting that recovery process. So start off a light jog. Right? So what a light jog is going to do is it's going to help clear lactic acid buildup in the body. So what lactic acid is it's a chemical in your body that starts to build up when your muscles break down. And so when the muscles break down, we build up lactic acid, and that is typically what is responsible for that soreness that you might feel the next day. So what a light jog does is it helps to clear that at a faster rate. Looking at stretching. So this is going to be a static stretch. So when we talked about our warm-up, we would talk about dynamic stretching. For our cool down, we'd rather have it be a static stretch. So you're on the ground, you're starting to get your pulse rate back to normal. Right, doing things like reach and hold for 30 seconds, right? So kind of prolonged, just a little bit of a cool down stretch. And lastly, refueling. So this is one, you should be hydrating. Chances are during the workout, you lost some liquids. So we want to make sure we are hydrating with water. Sometimes if it's an intense exercise, we want to rehydrate with things like Gatorade, because that's going to provide us with electrolytes that we lose in sweat as well. Refueling also refers to getting adequate carbs. All right, so we want to get our carb intake up, so carbohydrates, and we want protein in our body in order to help build muscle back up that we broke down. Right now on social media, all I see is different at-home workouts that you can do without leaving the house with very low to minimal equipment, and all those are fine and good. Okay, some are better than others, but if you do have the time on your hands and the resources, I recommend following something like this. Because when you're working out, you usually want to work out with someone else, so you have a spotter. Those types of things are important. Someone who's going to motivate you, someone who's going to watch your form. All right, make sure you're not cutting quarters. Good display of balance. See on this, I don't love the squat form. Watch how she comes up on her toes. All right, the dog over here is doing a much better job staying on his heels. And lastly, we have an assignment for the week. All we're asking is you answer a couple of these questions. So I'll attach the slides. Basically, everything you need can be found in there. All right, or you go back and watch the video. We talk about each one of these individually. For sticking around, watching to the end of the video, I'll give you the answer to the first one. So all training is aimed at creating long-term physical changes in the body systems. What are these changes called? Adaptations. Our goal is to create adaptations. We want the body to adapt. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week. Again, hit me up if you guys have any questions of any kind.